Welcome ladies and gents, Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter, or of course you can subscribe to the channel Let's Talk Boxing. A few of you have been asking me to engage with a specific topic, and I'm not talking about Chris Andre's orchid game. I know a few of you have been asking me about that too. You should have seen in the summer how buzzing I was, by the way, when I was pulling potatoes out the ground, carrots, I grew some courgettes, tomatoes. I was buzzing. I'm an inner city London kid and I'm getting excited about these things. I'm clearly getting very old and very soft in my old age. But no, what this specific topic is boxing related. Chantelle Cameron has demanded that Ellie Scotney be taken off of her undercard against Katie Taylor. And a lot of people have met this with real anger. And they're saying that they feel as though Ellie Scotney is essentially being bullied and targeted and caught up in the middle of a beef between Chantelle and her former trainer, Shane McGuigan, who now trains Ellie Scotney. And the general consensus seems to be that Ellie Scotney is a victim here and that Chantelle Cameron has been really horrible. A lot of people are saying there may be some MTK involvement here and stuff like that. Look, there is a possibility that Chantelle Cameron is merely being spiteful and vindictive, and she is trying to sort of hold it against Shane McGuigan for being however he was with her. There was a fallout. We don't know whether it was monetary or not, because there's a non-disclosure agreement in place from the McGuigans. So she can't actually speak about what led to this fallout. And that's key, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But a lot of people are saying they fell out over money, essentially, and this is her just trying to get back at him. And that's why they're critical. However, I can't take a position on this. I can't know for sure. I know that I feel very sorry for Ellie Scotney, and there are certain challenges there because there's talk of her being put on another card, and that's great because it means she's not going to miss out on money. However, there's also the problem of, let's say it's on a card the following week. You've been working very hard to make weight. You then have to sort of stay within that range to try and make weight again. That's potentially dangerous. So they need to address that. Both fighters, Ellie and her opponent, need to address that and to agree that maybe they should have a higher sort of frame for the weight that they're allowed to come in at to ensure that they're both healthy. The other problem also is that this is a very high profile women's card, and so just the exposure she's going to miss out on is also a problem for the future of her career. So I definitely feel for Ellie Scotney. And whilst I can't rule out that Chantelle Cameron is just being vindictive here, there's also another possibility that people need to start looking beyond the facade of things that they see, because they see something, they make a quick judgment, everybody then piles on, it becomes a bandwagon effect, everybody then engages in this witch hunt, and the reality is we don't really know. Because of that non-disclosure agreement, why Shane McGuigan and Chantelle Cameron have a beef. Let me give you an analogy, and I'm not talking about these guys specifically. I'm not suggesting that Shane McGuigan has done anything remotely like this. But what I want to do is give you an analogy as to how a fighter could potentially feel so intimidated about being around a trainer that she can't handle it during fight week. Because she did say in her statement that she released, she did mention intimidation. She said that especially when she's fighting a national treasure in Dublin like Katie Taylor, the last thing I need is more intimidation. Yes, I am a fighter, but I'm a human being too. So she's talking about a mental health aspect, and there have been a lot of people that have been critical of her for that, by the way, and they're almost suggesting that she's just using this as a a mental health card, so to speak. But what if there is something beneath this that people aren't seeing? And again, I'm going to use an analogy not related to these two. I'm not suggesting Shane has done anything like this. But let's say, for argument's sake, you've got a trainer that works with a fighter. He falls out with that particular fighter and suddenly starts to become threatening. Let's say he abuses her in some way. She could end up becoming scared to be in his presence. She could end up having a lot of anxiety just being around him. She could fear him. Now, in that situation, you have to understand that as a fighter who's focused on the biggest fight of her career, that goes beyond just a distraction. That goes to the point of, I am not able to get ready mentally or emotionally for what is to come because my focus is taken elsewhere. So since I am headlining, I am one of the main people on this. Yes, Katie Taylor's the A side, but it takes two to tango. I'm the other one. I'm also a champion, right? This is a problem, and I cannot really be dealing with this. I need to be at my best. In other words, I don't want to see Shane McGuigan in the hotel, at public workouts, at press conferences. I can't handle this. Get rid of him. I don't want him here. It's easy for you to turn around and say, well, she should deal with it. She's a fighter, right? And listen, to be fair to those taking that position, if Shane had bought front row seats front row tickets. What can you possibly say? Don't let him in the building? You're just going to have to deal with the fact that someone's present that might make you feel anxious, right? So I do get the counter argument too. You're a fighter, you have to get on with it. I'm sure there have been many people in the past that have fought and ideally they didn't want certain people there. Remember when Paulie Malignaggi was fighting Adrian Broner and Adrian Broner brought his former side piece? You know, I'm sure Paulie would have preferred that wasn't brought up in the situation, but what's he going to do? He has to deal with it. But that's more of an annoyance or an embarrassing thing. If she's actually intimidated, the word she's used, if she's afraid of her former trainer, and again, I'm not accusing Shane of anything, but we're just toying with potential ideas of what could be leading to her feeling intimidated, well then I can sort of understand why she wouldn't want him around for the biggest night of her life. And yes, I understand that when you're bringing up mental health and stuff, you could potentially be affecting the mental health of Ellie Scotney. So that looks hypocritical too. But if you're in a dark place yourself, you're not necessarily thinking about the impacts on somebody else. You're thinking of it as, Ellie's not done anything to me. She's going to be able to fight again on another card, but I need my space from Shane. Let me know what you think about this. Is this as clear cut as everyone's making out and Chantelle is just this bully? Or is this a case of potentially something else has happened, she cannot speak because of a non-disclosure agreement, and she genuinely feels intimidated and it's affecting her preparation? And the fact of the matter is, as boxing fans, people that want to see the main event want to be able to see her at her best, not distracted by something else. And Eddie Hearn's in a difficult position here because a lot of people are saying, I can't believe Eddie Hearn's allowing her to get away with this. He needs to put his foot down. It's also difficult for him because if he does try to put his foot down, what happens if Chantelle Cameron conveniently gets an injury a couple of days before the fight? Then what? The whole card's off. It's easy for people to just criticize. Everyone loves to criticize. Let's get on Eddie Hearn's case. Let's get on Chantelle Cameron's case. Sometimes you have to try and look beyond the facade. And when you do, if you have all the details available to you, you might then disagree with Chantelle. I'm not saying she's in the right. I'm simply saying, for those of you that are asking me to take a position, because I do not have the details available to me, I cannot take a position. And try to understand that I am like this in all aspects of my life. If I'm not educated on something, I will not take an opinion and say, form an opinion and say, this is the hill I'm willing to die on. And the reason I do this is because if you ever see me debating something, rest assured, I'm well versed on it. By the same token, if I'm going to apologize to someone, because I won't just give a fake apology just to, calm a situation down. I will only apologize if I'm genuinely sorry. That adds weight to the apology. If I come to you and I say I'm really sorry, know that I'm genuinely sorry, because otherwise I'm not saying it. Do you understand what I mean? So by the same token, I'm not just going to jump on the bandwagon and give an opinion here. My opinion is that I feel very sorry for Ellie Scotney, but why Chantelle is doing this and the beef between her and Shane McGuigan, I don't know enough about it to be able to take a position. Let me know what you think. Please don't forget to hit a stiff jab on the like button, a right cross on the subscribe button, and an uppercut on the notifications button. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon. Take care. God bless.